Okay. You want them up on the table or sitting? Let's see. Stay there. Stay there.
Actually, there is a running joke that Zach kicks dogs. He doesn't. I don't even know where that joke came from, to be honest with you.
What is this? What are we trying to make here?
Talked about a capybara game in the Discord, and people have always asking me, like, Lily, how's that capybara game going? And I was like, no progress at all. Past 2 years.
But every once in a while, I'll be like, yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thanks for coming.
Dude,
Thanks
this
for making
setup,
the trip.
yeah, I mean, the setup, absolutely insane. It's absolutely blowing my mind. It's putting my setup to absolute shame. But the reason why we want to come here, we kind of talked a little bit, is I want to give people a back view of what it takes to make these games. And I've said it before, I'm saying it again, so your games look like some of the best out there. And I think a lot of people agree with that. Every time I see one, I look at it on my shelf, I'm like, God damn, this looks so cool. But essentially, I kind of want to talk a little bit about your background and what it takes to be a game designer or board game, anything of what you guys are. So how did you exactly start off?
Yeah, so Sam, my business partner, and I, we started Ivy Studio right out of school as a video production and animation studio. And we quickly started focusing on animation, directing commercials for people like Nike and Amazon, Bad Robot, Netflix, all these like dream clients. And got to, just work with some of the best artists all over the world on really wonderful dream come true projects. But ultimately, we've always wanted to make the thing, not the thing promoting the thing. So we tried a video game. We tried a board game. Austin, who's kind of been with us since the beginning, one Christmas break. We take quite a lot of time off for Christmas. I was like, I used to make board games when I was a kid. We loved playing board games. We were playing a lot of Dominion at the time, and I was like, dude, you want to like make a board game like over Christmas? And that was kind of the beginning. That became Moonrakers. We launched that on Kickstarter. It blew us away with the support that there was for it, and that kind of launched the division. And then we made another one and another one, and now that's all we do. We make games.
That's so cool. So all your games have a very, I guess when you look at any of your board games, you're like, yeah, Ivy Studio did it. How do you design it? Is it the design first? Is it the gameplay first? What is your process essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it always is the gameplay first. Like you gotta have, it's gotta be fun. Like that is the like bare minimum of making a game, and finding something that is fun, that is unique, that is worth pouring, sometimes years of time into is really difficult. So we have a game design team on staff. It's me, Max, and Austin, and we just constantly have prototypes in play. We'll try them. They're usually terrible. And then you make some changes and eventually they're less terrible. And then eventually we're like, all right, cool. There's something here. And we commit to making it a game. And then it goes into development, which is just a really long process of a lot of times stripping things away, breaking it down until we have a game that we like. Then it enters our playtesting pipeline. We've got an amazing Discord community and some lead playtesters that we really trust to put it through some rigorous playtesting, and that isn't even any of the art direction and creative direction. But I'm making games. It takes a lot of work, and it's never the same process other than the process I just told you. It's just like, where's those ideas going to come from? Where do they come from? I don't know.
So would you say that you starting off as an animation studio helped you get into the board game business, or exactly how has it helped? Because I mean, obviously a lot of your stuff and your whole YouTube channel is very high quality production stuff, and it translates into your board games. But do you think that starting off as a studio before helped your whole situation out? Like,
oh, definitely. I think it helped in a lot of ways. One, I mean, making a board game, it's a creative project. That's what it is, right? And we got to learn how to make a ton of creative projects with very real deadlines and for very, real clients who had expectations. And I think that skill translates really well. Granted, we don't have clients. Like we are our own clients in that sense of like, we are the ultimate arbiters of like, what is this going to be? When is it done? But also we, it's like, we don't have clients. We have an audience now, our people, and we are making stuff for them and for people to enjoy these games. And so it's a bit of a shift in that way, but ultimately it's like, no, at some point, like we got to be done and we got to like get this done. So that I think really helps. And then the other part of it is, um, art direction and creative direction. It's just in our bones. That's like what I came up doing is, creative directing and art directing projects for big brands. And now I have the pleasure of doing that and pouring that kind of years of experience and skill and that network of artists that I've worked with over the years and trying to just bring that perspective to the tabletop space, and design worlds that hopefully people are into. And then the other way I think it really helps us is advertising. I mean, we are a getting into the business side. We're like we're a direct to consumer brand, right? We have to figure out a way to get the message out about our stuff. And we've spent a lot of time making commercials and marketing. And so, that has obviously been a huge help in, launching us, getting, it's all about running a business is about getting people's attention. And there's a lot of board games that come out every year, and, you got to make something that's worthy of people's attention and worthy of their time and ultimately money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just that I keep coming back to the art of it because it's absolutely what always draws my attention. But what I guess is your favorite part about the board game process? Is it coming up with the gameplay? Is it coming up with what the story of it? Because, for example, Honor's End, did you have the mechanics in play first, and then you're like, okay, let's make it medieval themed. Let's do it. Did that come because of the mechanics, or was that a separate idea? You're like, nah, let's just do that.
Yeah, no, I think in general, it's hard to find that like core loop, that unique game in itself. So we try not to put too many restrictions on it. Like we didn't start out and be like, we want to make a medieval game. We started out with like, hey, there was a little nugget of something that we really liked in Moonraker's Luminor, which was a digital expansion for Moonrakers that turned a competitive game into a full cooperative game. There's a lot of design space there that we really liked. We love deck builders. We also have always kind of wanted to like, okay, now that we've taken all the stuff we learned from Moonrakers, it'd be so fun to make another deck builder with all the knowledge that we've gained. And so that was the start of this, right? It was like, I think we could make something there and then maybe add like a campaign to it. And so you just start throwing stuff at the wall, a bunch of temp art. I think there's even like Moonraker's temp art there in there to like begin with. And then it's like, okay, now that this is coming together, like what could this be? Like, okay, we've got this cool setup for a campaign. Like what kind of stories do we want to tell? Like our decks function in this way, you're outputting a lot of damage. So like what kind of world could we set this in? And what kind of framework do we have for storytelling, because I think that'll be a really interesting part of this game. And then from that, I creative direct all of our games, so this is just going away and like thinking about like what would I want to play, like what world do we want to let people step into, and ultimately it's like and we haven't done a medieval game or like kind of a fantasy setting, and so we want to launch these new worlds and IPs that we build out and really flesh out, make expansions and more games in. And so it really started as this like, okay, what if we did like this medieval world, but there's also some like really like kind of what's really going, there's some mystery here, some like maybe cosmic horror or some other secret spoilery stuff that I won't spoil right now. But yeah, so, and pitch that to the team. It was like, great, let's do it. And then probably one of my favorite parts is trying to find the right illustrators and designers to work with for the project, and reaching out to folks and, putting together mood boards and all that stuff, and then seeing what they bring back to it. And it's really fun and satisfying to work with some people who I worked with in, working on stuff for Amazon. Glenn Thomas did the illustrations for this. We probably worked on 20 videos for Amazon together. And now like coming to him with like, for both of us is a dream project. Like, it's just like, oh man, like we get to sit and like draw like people with swords and like how fun is that? And it's really fun to see these world-class artists like really like sink into something that they're like super passionate about, and come up with something that I love. I mean, of course I love it. But hopefully you all at home love as well.
I mean, I know I absolutely do. Every time we play one of your games, I'm like, this kicks ass.
Thanks.
It's so cool.
I appreciate it.
But a lot of times that I've seen more failed board games is a lot of time the story or the art direction is what leads them, and then the gameplay kind of falls short because it was secondary. Do you have any advice for how you can get that? Because obviously in some of your work, you're like, okay, I want this idea. I have this story. I have this creative mindset, but how can I make it fun? Do you have any advice for how to make it fun? Go gameplay first, and then I guess story second.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is like a mentality, right? It's like it doesn't matter how good something looks if it's not fun. Like no one will ever play it again, and then no one will buy it. Which is part of the point is to get people to enjoy your game. And so, how do you make a board game fun? I mean, that's a great question. That is what we're doing here. That's what we show up to work every day and ask ourselves, like, how do we make this fun? And it's never the same. But I mean, to me, like, I really love working with a team. Like we all play our games, like we put it out to our Discord and just rely so heavily on that. But also it's just like you're showing up and you're chasing what you think is fun. Like we make games that we think are fun.
Right.
Not everyone's going to think they're fun, but ultimately there are certain feelings that you're chasing, and it's for us all about finding like, okay, let's clearly identify what about this is fun. And we talk about that a lot. It's like, okay, this aspect, right? Like multi-use cards was really fun because it made me feel this way. It made me feel like I have a lot of strategy and options on my turn, and that makes me feel powerful and makes me feel good when I am able to, pull something off that I didn't think I was going to be able to. And then the opposite is true. It's just like, oh, what was slowing us down? Like, could we cut that? Like, is that actually necessary? And what I love about the way that we make games is there's three of us, and we all come at it from different perspectives with different ideas. I think it'd be really hard to design a game on your own, and not having our team to kind of bounce ideas off of and get fresh takes on and things like that. So I think getting other people involved, watching people play it, it's painful. One of the things that I really enjoyed as we've kind of grown is kind of not outsourcing, but like having someone else run playtests, and then like I don't have to sit there and like watch because it's excruciating, because you're just like, oh yeah, that's not working. You're not having fun. This is terrible. But like seeing that from a more objective, like data perspective of just like, oh, just like reading back, it's like, oh, people aren't liking this. Like it's too long. Like this part's confusing. All that stuff is just crucial to like a little bit more of an objective approach on what's working and what isn't, and just chisel, take stuff out, I think. And this is my own like personal taste, right? But I think a lot of games, I'm just like, if I were making this game, I probably would have like shaved off a couple things. Right. It's like there's every game we make, it's less about adding and more about taking away. Yeah, I just rambled for a while, but
yeah, that's perfect. So from what I'm understanding is trust your community a lot, is just really just give it to as many people as you can and just be open to feedback. And I know a lot of developers are very set in stone with what they want, and they're like, no, this is going to work. But then oftentimes they're going to fail. But it seems like being open to the community has definitely helped you guys out.
Yeah, I think it is tough, right? I think part of it is knowing like what feedback to listen to, because ultimately like you are making a specific experience, right? And that experience isn't going to be for everyone, right? Like you take a game like Brink, like if you don't like games with trading and negotiation, like you're just not going to like that game, right? Like, and that's totally fine. Like I hope you find a game that you do really enjoy. And so listening to a person's feedback who's just like, oh, the trading, I just really didn't like that. Like I thought it like ruined the game. And I was like, oh, well, do you like trading in general? Like, and if not, that's totally fine. Like I love it. I think it's great. And so I think there is a bit of a skill and something you develop over time of just like parsing that feedback and you have to know like deep down like what is the core of this game, and some people just might not like that core, but also maybe it's a bad core. I don't know. So like you just kind of gotta figure it out. It's always an adventure.
Right. Excluding your very first game,
Mm.
or I guess including, which is your favorite? I guess, and I guess why? Is it the art direction? Was it the gameplay? Was it the process of making it? Which exactly is your personal favorite?
This is always such a tough. This is such a tough
I'm gonna
question.
be asking it to everybody. Don't worry.
Like to me, it's so dependent upon what phase of development we're in.
Okay.
And so like right now, Honor's End, like it's almost always the game we're working on right now.
Mhm.
But also like I'm still writing for Honor's End, like I'm finishing out the story, and it's just like it's so much work. And I just like I want it to work, you know.
Mhm.
And it's in the playtesting. You're still playtesting, still tweaking. So then like to me, like if I could sit down and play any IV game right now, it'd probably be Realm of Reckoning. I just think I love how weird it is, I guess.
Yeah.
I just love how you're setting rules as you go. It's quick, it's snappy, but it's just recency bias. It's
Yeah.
just like so almost always when you ask me that question, it's gonna be like, what's the game we just made? Because the games we make are just like, and what if I could play any game right now, what would that be? And then we just go make that game.
Right.
And so it's just like, like I'm sick of this thing. Like I'm sick of this mechanic. Like let's come over here. I haven't played a game like that.
Mm.
Or you play a game and you get inspired by it and you're like, oh, I'd really like this one piece of this. Like what if we took that and then like made that a core of our own thing? And so like we're always designing on like what's our taste in this moment.
Mhm.
And then that becomes a game. And so like naturally that's the game I want to play the most. So
And is there a game mechanic that you have not yet kind of built into your own game that you really want to? Is there a specific type that you just like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know what you mean. Yeah. Let me think here.
like experiment with.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do like pure social deduction. So we have like Veiled Fate, which is like kind of strategic deduction.
Mhm.
I really enjoy social deduction games.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one that I think would be very, very fun to try. Um Also like our take on like a war game or a like a civilization game.
Ooh, yeah.
We've Max and and Austin have had lots of like brainstorming around like a Civ like style game, and it's never gotten to full prototype phase, but it's something we're always like thinking about. We've tested a few actually. We've gotten to a few, and it's just like, what is this? What are we trying to make here? So those are the two that come to mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's perfect. And then finally, Honor's End is one of your newest games. What is, I guess, special about this? What makes it different from all your other games?
Yeah. So Honors End, it is a cooperative game.
Okay.
So other than Time to Panic, which we just
Mhm.
released, this is hitting our web source soon. This is our first kind of big cooperative game.
Right.
It is a deck builder. We do have Moonrakers, which is a deck builder. But I think what sets this apart as a deck builder is the card play. We really wanted to make a game that, not only is it fun to build your deck, but it's also fun to play every single hand.
Right.
I feel like a lot of deck builders it's more about the deck building, and then you get your cards and you're like, okay, I played them down
Mhm.
and, on to the next.
Right.
Every single card in Honor's End is multi-use. You can play it, you can tuck it to supercharge other cards, or you can discard it to empower your allies. So I really am very proud of the way that the deck building elements came out. And then lastly, there is an optional narrative campaign. It's basically in some ways like a 90-page screenplay where you all get to sit down and read almost like a table read, like read all the different parts of the characters that are in your deck and kind of this very like the story I've been working on for a really long time. There's, it's very much beginning, middle, and end. You kind of get to experience it. There's lots of fun twists and turns, and new characters that you unlock. And so basically, you're like unlocking new micro expansions every time you play the game. So yeah, it's a blast. It's been a blast to work on. I hope everybody loves it.
Yeah, I mean, Miguel behind the camera play tested it, and he said he absolutely loved it. I'm loving the way it looks, and I can't wait to play it myself. But,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to get you in there.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Right on.
Actually, there is a running joke that Zach kicks dogs. He doesn't. I don't even know where that joke came from, to be honest with you.
But you're keeping it going.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not? That seems like the natural thing to do. Once again, Zach Dixon here.
Lower thirds.
Yeah. Owner of Ivy Games. Definitely not Austin Harrison.
All right, so we've got Zach with us.
Yeah.
No. So we have Austin with us. And what is your official title here?
Oh, my official title makes me sound so much cooler than I am. My official title is Head of Games. Yeah,
cool.
which... no, that I'm not as cool as that makes me sound.
Awesome. So we were just talking to Zach, and all
He is as cool as he sounds.
I believe you are as well. So now tell us your life story.
Okay, so starting from where? Yeah.
So we know you were in an animation studio.
Yep.
And then transitioned into board games, but I want to hear your take on it.
Yeah.
Why specifically board games, and how did it start off, and how did it manage to become your very first game?
Yeah. So me and Zach both made games as kids, not together. I made a bunch of like Star Wars ships, and like you had like income and you had to fight other Star Wars ships. I was a big Star Wars nerd as a kid. Definitely only as a kid. And so when I started working at IV and got to work in a creative industry, it was really, really fun.
Mhm.
But I was on the outside looking in. I was not a creative. I was the meet people, relationships, go to ad agencies, try to sell them animation. That was my role.
Right.
And so when I got the chance to go to Zach's house and work on a game, I thought we were just doing it for fun. I had no idea it was going to be a business model.
Mhm.
And so we had been playing board games for years at that point. We started in college together. We played Catan and, those kind of games. Eventually graduated to Dominion and,
yeah.
bigger games. But we played all kinds of things. I think Galaxy Trucker was one of my favorites. Just lots of like space themed, random games. And so we were like kind of on the edge of the hobby, but like Splendor and those type games were as deep as we were getting. And I saw a Kickstarter for Star Wars Rebellion. No, not a Kickstarter. It was just Star Wars Rebellion came out. And then a Kickstarter for a Brandon Sanderson themed game, which was Mistborn like themed from Crafty Games. And I was like, oh man, like I'm starting to get into this deeper side of this hobby where like I'm backing a Kickstarter. And so when I went over to Zach's house to marry a game, I was like, this is so fun. It makes me think of childhood doing this. And that's as far as I thought I was going to go, because we were playing tons of Dominion and me and Zach were playing our hands really fast.
Right.
And then we'd watch the other people around the table just be like, oh my gosh, play the card. And so Zach was like, I want to make a deck builder that everyone plays on everybody's turn, or at least you get to play on a lot of people's turns. And I was like, that sounds dope. So I came in, that was like near Christmas. After Christmas break, I came into the office and sat down with Zach and Sam, and I was like, cool, like what ad agency am I going to go sell to now? And they're like, well, hold on. We actually want to talk to you about running a board game division for IB Studio. And I was like, what? I was like, first off, that sounds awesome. Second off, why me? Like, I don't have any experience making board games. I don't have any experience. Well, not any board games that are very good anyway. I don't have any experience with any part of making a physical product. And so they were like, well, we want you to run it and we want you to give it a try. So I convinced them to do 50-50. My current job, 50%, and the board game division, 50%, just to see where it was.
Right.
3 months in, I had a great feeling that was a terrible plan and we should give up. So I had a meeting with them and I was like, guys, the board game is not fun. I think I should just go back to doing my job 100% of the time. And sometimes you have really good moments with your boss where they tell you no. And it seems like it's a bad moment because I was like, I'm doing really bad at this. But what I didn't know at the time that we learned through making board games is that all board games suck at the beginning. Like very few. I'm sure Knizia has done some designs where it's like, that's done, like first time, ship it. But most board games, they seem so good in your mind. And then you get it onto paper or prototype or whatever, and then you play it, you're like, what is that flaming pile of garbage? And so once you push through that, you start finding the fun and you start chasing that. And so, yeah, Moonrakers took years of development. And only after that first 6 months was I actually like, oh, this is a good idea. So transitioned to that full time, left the other 50% of my job behind, worked toward a Kickstarter. So that was 2019 that we Kickstarted it. And then we delivered it in 2020. So
another growth.
it was a weird time to be delivering something. Yeah. Because, I mean, that was pandemic time. And I mean, when they said, hey, I want you to run a board game division, I thought that was just designing games. I didn't think it was international tax law, international manufacturing, international logistics, warehouse selection, like all the random stuff that you have to do to fulfill games. It's a ton of work. So.
That's incredible, man.
Look.
So what, I guess I'm going to, for people who want to create board games, since you didn't really have a knowledge on it and you just kind of went in, even though you did some when you were a child.
That doesn't count.
Whatever. It sounds cool to me. I'll play that.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give? Because it seems incredibly daunting.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people have a story instead of a mechanic in play.
Yep.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to design a board game?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different pieces of advice I could give. One is I think you need to develop your taste. So I've had people pitch me games that already exist or like are very simple. And I'm like, like you can play that with the 52 deck of cards. Like that's a cool game, but like the best you would do is just like put those rules on Reddit and other people can play it. Like it's not a product that you can sell very easily. So I think playing other games, especially if you're wanting to launch on Kickstarter or something like that, you need to be playing other Kickstarted games and games that are in that level of hobby. But beyond that, I think there's two big pieces of advice I give to people that are actively have a design that they're playtesting. One is it's going to suck for a long time, and that doesn't mean you're a bad designer. It means that you just have to keep going. And I think that's true about a lot of things in life, right? But the other thing is that find the vision for your game and hold on to that vision and make your decisions around that. And I'll come back to tell you why that's a bad idea, because you do have to hold loosely to it because you have to kill your darlings. But why that's a good idea is when you're in a playtest with somebody, if you're not managing the expectations well, they'll start designing the game for you. Be like, hey, like, this part, I think it'd be really cool if it was this. And occasionally you'll get a good idea from that. But most often, they're just designing their own game, and they should go design that game, and you need to design your game.
Right.
I have only ever designed in a team of 3. It's me, Zach, and Max. And I am the person that is shoveling things in, and they're the people that are shoveling things out. And that's very painful, and you have to be willing to kill those darlings and let things go away for the sake of the game. Veiled Fate, our second game ever, was a really good example of that. It originally was a race to 5 points. Whoever got to 5 points first won.
Interesting.
And the playtesters loved it. But that game could be 20 minutes long or 3 hours long because it just, sometimes it was really neck and neck and something. And Zach and Max were like, man, I think this 5-point limit needs to go away. And I was like, no, this is the best part of the game. What are you talking about? And then you just have to be willing to try everything, because we tried it. And I was like, it's way better. Okay, fine. You're right.
Yeah. So from what I was hearing, with Zach, is there's a lot of being open to the community, but being selectful on what you listen to, because a lot of people will have their own ideas and the games they want to play, like you said, but that's not the game you're trying to play, so, or trying to build. So it seems like it's knowing the balance of pleasing your community and doing your own thing, because at the end of the day, you're your own brand and you want to push your own image and not just be something that already exists and just not be special. But something that is always special, and I'm going to keep bringing it up to everybody, is the looks of your game are so awesome. They look so clean. And you guys were telling us, like, you're like the box, there's like going to be like special editions and you're going to put filigree everywhere. And there's just constantly like reviews for just making it look better. And it just seems like the arts direction is a huge part of who you guys are as a company.
Totally.
And I guess it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why put such an emphasis on this and just taking longer? Like, you know what I mean?
So for me, I'm a very special part of that process, which I'm the layman, the person that is not artistically talented. And I look at the stuff and I try to be the voice of the person that just bought this and didn't really know anything about us and is like trying to play this game for the first time, right? Like I'm like, hey, like that looks really cool, but is it decipherable? Like that's kind of like my role.
Right.
But as far as IV as a whole, the art is just a huge part of who we are, and it also is just like we make the type of games that we want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, when he's looking at a theme or art style, like he wants it to be a piece of art that is also a piece of art mechanically. So it's like we're trying to do both. And so working for Zach is just a really, really cool thing to do, because when we go into that side of it, like I am just there to tell him, hey, I think the general populace will gravitate toward this one versus this one. But Zach is just really, really good at directing the artists that we work with to make something special and cohesive, marrying the graphic design with the illustrations. And then he just has a wealth of experience working with Fortune 500 companies and people like J.J. Abrams and stuff like that to make something. And yeah, it's really fun getting to create with him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything's absolutely incredible. I really want to play this game. It's been sitting in front of me this whole time. Miguel had the opportunity to, and I'm just like, okay, when is it my turn?
You can probably play it tonight.
I'm going to. I promise you that.
Great.
But I guess in terms of mechanics, which this is a deck builder.
Yeah.
But which is your favorite, and where do you want to see the future of IVCO go?
Yeah, so we traditionally are pretty agnostic when it comes to mechanics. So like we're not known for a mechanic.
Right.
We're not the worker placement people or whatever. We have put bidding in a lot of our games. And I'm sure Zach may have mentioned that as well. So blind bidding or auction bidding, like there's a lot of different types of bidding though, and they are different in all the games that we've made. But my favorite moments are when a player can feel clever or when a player can feel sneaky. And if you can marry those two things, that's my favorite. And so Fractured Sky for me, it's not my favorite game we've made, but it has some of my favorite moments, because if you can misdirect people, make people think you're going to one spot and you're actually putting most of your troops in a different spot, that can have a huge emotional payoff for me personally. So I love that. It also can have the opposite, where a huge emotional letdown of where I thought I tricked people, but actually they tricked me. There's definitely a video of Tom Vassell absolutely crushing me in Fractured Sky in our own studio, and I thought for sure I had won it. So I think it's the highs and lows, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, as far as mechanics, I really like a lot of different types of games, and so do Zach and Max, and so I think that comes across in the types of games that we're making, because we do economic games and we do trading games. But I think the main through point, something like that, of all of our games is that there's a healthy amount of player interaction. We love interacting with the people around the table. We're not usually making solitaire games. I would say Mythic Mischief, which is a head-to-head abstract game, is a little bit outside of that box. And Tend is a little bit outside of that box as well, just because of the nature of it being a flip and rate, but there is player interaction in that game as well. But all of our other games are very, very heavy in the player interaction. And that's because I'm playing a board game because I want to interact with the other people around the table. If I want to play something solo, I'd rather play a video game.
Of course.
Because it manages all of the stuff for me, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm playing a board game, I want to be having conversations, and I want to be being head-to-head against the other players, more than just at the end of the game, I was slightly more efficient than you were with my mathing of things. So while I do like Euros and I do like playing Euros, it's not necessarily the thing I want to design. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, essentially, you're not just selling a product, but you're selling like an emotion. You want people to have an emotional response to your board games. Have you found it, like, how exactly do you design that, I guess? How do you make sure that people have an emotional reactions to the game you produce?
Yeah, so that is something that was really interesting for us early on, because like I said, we were designing at the beginning of the pandemic. And so my first Gen Con I ever went to, I walked around with a box of Moonrakers, and I was just begging anyone to play it, right? I was just like, please, sir, you look like you might like board games because you're at Gen Con. Please play this. And by the time I was at Gen Con again, because the pandemic let up, we had 3 games. So it was like, we didn't get a lot of in-person feedback because of the pandemic. And so when people came up to our booth at that second Gen Con that I ever went to, and they're like, I have a tattoo of Moonrakers. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't even have a tattoo of any of our games. Why do you? And that was like, oh, these people really like this game, or there's a bigger emotional investment than I thought there was. And we always knew that we were making that for ourselves. And I've already said that we make the games that we want to play, especially component and art wise. And like, that's a big part of who we are, is we're making component choices to be like, well, I want it to be metal dice. So we're going to offer metal dice. And that's the same for the emotional component. We want to have the interactions with the people around the table. And it wasn't until that first Gen Con that we came back to, we're like, oh, we are facilitating a space for people to have the type of interactions that we're trying to have.
Right.
And so I think any game, Zach always says, when we're designing the game, when we're choosing the next game, it's like someone in our core audience, I want this to be their favorite game. And like every time we design a game, it's like, we want someone that loves IV for this to be their favorite game. And I'm sure we don't hit that every time, but it is something that we're always striving to be their next favorite game. And a lot of the times we get, just random emails and stuff like that. And one person was like, hey, like, this person was going through cancer and like they were really down, and like the way that we brought them out of their shell and to hang out and stuff was around board games. And one of the board games they loved was Brink, and I bought that for them the day that they beat cancer. And it's like that kind of stuff is like brings us into their story in such a fun way that I never expected when we were starting out. So yeah, that's really good.
That's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I mean, if like you said, if a board game doesn't bring any emotions, I mean, I'm not gonna play it again.
Right.
And every time we play one of your games, I'm like, ooh. Okay. All right. I see it. I
That's what
see
I wanna
it. So, I mean, I'm super excited for your future. And I mean, I'm excited for the present as well. But for talking specifically about Honor's End, since that's kind of like the project right now.
Yeah.
What about it do you think makes it so special, or I guess stand out as opposed to all your other games?
Yeah. So I have a couple of things that I'm really excited about this. And two of the main ones are around it being co-op. So I don't like co-op games that much, and it's because it brings out the evil side of Austin. I'm like, hey, you should really do that thing. Like playing Pandemic with me is really bad. You should do it. Because I'm like trying to play your turn for you.
Yeah.
And that's because I have this like, I see the turn, and I'm not trying to be rude, but like, I just don't want to play that game because I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
And so when we were like, oh, we're going to make a cooperative game, I was like, okay, how do we design a game that doesn't let me be the person, right? And so this game, Honor's End, has a really nice moment of collaboration where you're deciding, okay, who's going to take these dice that I have to roll that could hurt us? Okay, you have a lot of shields, you should take those. I have a shield, so I'll take one. Oh, I have this card that I can play that'll give everybody another card they can draw. And so there's this moment of collaboration where we're all talking about, oh, can I take that many dice? Or, oh, hey, I can give this to you and it will give you a good dice. And so there's lots of things where we're talking, but then we stop that moment and then we play our own cards. And at that point, I'm not looking at your hand and being like, oh, you should play the next. Like that's not how it goes. And so there is no alpha gamer at that point. The other part of the collaboration I really like is there's moments of like you're paying more attention to the other person's stuff because there's a first player marker, this nice thing here. And whoever's the first player, they get to choose one of their equipment cards that the whole team gets to use. And so you're all like, oh my gosh, you have that one card I really wanted to use this whole game. Put the first player marker on that so I can use it. And so there's little moments like that that kind of bring the engagement. The other part of it being co-op is that there's two ways to play. There's a narrative campaign, and then there's the adventure mode, which is just like an endless like boss rush mode. I love campaign games. I love them. Gloomhaven was one of my favorite gaming experiences, but one of the friends stopped coming and we never played it again. It's like, you have a friend that moves to Seattle and it's like, well, that's done. We're never playing that game again. I got to start over with a different group. And that was like my one downside to campaign games is I often didn't finish them. I started them. I had a great experience. The new shiny thing came out and we never came back to it because we couldn't get that same group together, or my one person didn't like it. So like, can we play something else? And sure, we'll play something else. There's a ton of games. And so what I love about this game is that the adventure mode is you can just run it anytime, but the narrative mode too, you can start it with 4 people and then go down to 3 people or even 1 person and finish it, or you can add people in as you go. And so we had a game night here on Saturday and there was a group that played with 4 people. One guy left, another guy joined for the second chapter. And then for the third chapter, they went down to 3 people and they just like got to keep going. And it's really nice to be able to like interchange people and spin it around. So you don't feel like it's like, oh, I got to just like stay with the same group and slog through it. So I really like that about the game.
That's really cool. I've been subject to plenty of games. I think I'll bet almost all my games, whether it be board game or TTRPGs, just end because somebody's like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm like, so that's actually super refreshing that you can do that with this.
yeah, and I really like it. Like at absolute worst,
Yeah.
like if everybody leaves, you can finish it by yourself. So it's possible. So yeah,
That's awesome. Well, I'm super excited to try it tonight. And I mean, I personally can't wait for the future of Ivy.
now do you like deck building?
I love deck building.
Oh, see, I'm a huge deck building fan
Yeah.
too, and I'm really excited to hear what you think of the card tucking system that we designed for this because
yeah.
in a lot of my favorite deck building games, sometimes you just get that hand. You're like,
Yeah.
count me out for this one, guys.
Yeah.
I can't help it all. And the card tugging system really allows for flexibility and like saving turns in ways that I never experienced at a deck builder. So I'm really excited for that as well.
That's actually super cool. I hate dead turns. It makes it boring for one person, and all the other people feel bad for them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so
Aw,
you're not having
buddy.
fun. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
So that's super cool. I'm super excited about that. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. Well, I mean, thank you, man.
Thanks for coming to the studio.
Are you kidding me, dude? Look at this place. It looks awesome. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Perfect. Not too bad. So what's your official title here?
I'm the community manager.
Fantastic. So what exactly does that entail?
A lot of things because we're
Okay.
a small company, but essentially taking care of public channels like Discord,
Mhm.
the Kickstarter pages,
Mhm.
and then also planning events for conventions and general customer servicey things, but a little bit less of that these days.
That's awesome. So one of the things I kind of wanted to ask you about is we were talking to Zach and Austin, and we were noticing that the community aspect to it is super important. It's where you get a lot of your feedback. It's where you get some of your ideas from. So how do you filter out, I guess, what's constructive criticism and then what's negative criticism? I guess, like, how exactly is the community aspect able to help these games?
Yeah, so the community aspect is very important because we do a lot of play testing online, and of course you get a lot of different feedback from people, right?
Mhm.
And usually people have good intentions when they give the feedback.
Mhm.
And I think since I'm not a game designer, I don't particularly go through that feedback as much as Zach, Austin, and Max.
Mhm.
But I still get some feedback through like the general Discord channels, right? And usually it's well intentioned, right? And for the most part, if it's about improving like processes like logistics or shipping timelines and things like that, that is important. I take that into consideration for next projects.
Mhm.
If it's more about the art style and things like that, that's not under my purview.
Mhm.
And usually I feel like Zach has a really good sense of art, so
It wasn't
I'll leave
talking
that
about
to
it.
him. I'll leave that to him. He's got a great creative mind. But yeah, it depends on what category like
Mhm.
that critique is in.
Gotcha.
Is how I see it.
Yeah. And then as more and more games have, come out, have you seen the community grow just like exponentially? Or how exactly has this kind of worked out for you? Like how has the community been?
Yeah, it's great. When I started, that was in 2023,
Mhm.
and I think the Discord was around 5,000 people at that time, which is still a really big Discord. I think now it's at 8,500, and it's only been 2 years or so.
God.
So it's grown a lot. I really wish I had done more in that time in the Discord for like events and like more community building there.
Mhm.
I haven't had time because I was doing customer service the first year, and that was my first year actually doing community stuff.
Nice.
Which the big focus was Gen Con.
Mhm.
But now that we figured out Gen Con and how to do it well,
Yeah.
we'll do it the same kind of thing next year.
Mhm.
So now I should have more free time to
Nice.
actually delve into like online community stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really cool that we get to do a bunch of community events at Gen Con now
Mhm.
because before we would just have a booth. You can come by and say hi to us,
Yeah.
but you won't get time to actually speak to us like in a nice like quieter room
Yeah.
and like a private setting where you can actually play our games, like just our games.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how exactly has events gone? Because currently right now you're about to launch Honors End through a bunch of stores, and we're actually interested in doing that at our home store. So what exactly are you guys looking for when you do this? Are you just looking for that feedback, or like is this just strictly like publicity in a way? What exactly are you guys trying to get out of doing all these events?
Yeah, so the Honors End Tour, it's mostly for like a preview event for people. We're not looking for feedback necessarily, which we still appreciate if you do want to give feedback.
Mhm.
But we're not asking people with the intention like, hey, this is a kind of play test vibe. Usually these preview copies only go to content creators, and the general public doesn't get to see the actual game until they get the game.
Right.
So I think it's really cool that people get to see a prototype, quote unquote, of the game before they actually see it on the Kickstarter launching. And I think the touch, like seeing it on a Kickstarter is really cool, but like even being able to touch it in person is a big difference.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're trying to get that feeling to people earlier on.
That's awesome.
And we have about 20 games, so we're trying to
Yeah.
reach as many cities as possible in our time limit. I've done a lot of planning the past 3 weeks or so. Trying to get as many people to see the game before the launch.
That's awesome. And then, so out of all these different games, which one's your favorite, and then why?
The Ivy games?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm between Scales of Fate and Pillars of Fate, which are both 2-player games. Not intentionally. Maybe it's just my kind of game I like. I like Veiled Fate, but sometimes I find that it's too overwhelming at a high player count for myself. But I still like the deduction part of it. And that's why I like Pillars of Fate and Scales of Fate. Because it's 2-player, it's snappy, like 30, 45 minutes tops. And it scratches like the same itch that I like from Veiled Fate.
That's awesome. And is there any like mechanic that you want to see in the future that you like in other games?
Oh, okay. I would love a dice pool draft game. I had some thoughts about my own kind of game that I want to design.
Nice.
It's been in the back of my mind for a long time.
You gotta pitch it.
Well, okay, so I really talked about a capybara game in the Discord, and people have always asking me like, Lily, how's that capybara game going? And I was like, no progress at all. Past 2 years. Eventually we'll get there.
I'll play it.
I also
That
love
sounds
worker
awesome.
placement games.
Ooh, okay.
Which Brink is worker placement, but it's not the same kind of worker placement that I think of.
Right.
Like more Euro-y.
I'm a big fan of Euro games, but nobody I know likes them. So
Once you find your group,
I know.
it's like you play only Euro games, right?
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah, eventually we'll get there.
That sounds great. Awesome. Well, I mean, thank you so much for talking to us. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks for having me.